everyone. It's been such a long time. I won't start with the broken record of guys, I'm sorry I've been away for so long. To be honest, it's been a struggle for me to keep up with doing YouTube. Um, there's a lot of challenges for me right now. If you watched my last video, which was probably like last year maybe, or maybe earlier this year. I won't give myself. I'll give myself some credit. But I just talked about some of the challenges I face with motherhood. Um, my son has ADHD. Um, Started to really notice it in him between the ages of like 2 and 3, but ages 3 and 4 was more prominent when we figured out that something was up. Like there was a lot of hyperactivity. There was also a lot of emotional dysregulation with him. And officially, he was diagnosed last year. And that's why in my last short, I said that I am an ADHD mama because I want to kind of talk about that a little bit more on this channel as well because it is such a big part of my life and just working through the stages of it and just finding holistic approaches to helping my son to get through those ADHD symptoms and overall just the span of like watching what you eat, being healthy, not giving kids sugary stuff, things filled with a lot of dyes, because all of those things, even like eating french fries, like fried foods and stuff like that, still affect ADHD. Like I can give him french fries from McDonald's or maybe Burger King and he's after he eats it, he's just going crazy. Like it exturbates those ADHD symptoms. So diet is important too, and I'll be diving into some of those things. And just for the mamas out there who do have a child that has struggles, whether it's ADHD or not, it's not easy at all. I'm part of an ADHD support group on Facebook, and there are parents out there who are dealing with a lot much more harder things than me, but for me, it's still hard too. Everybody has their story and everyone knows how they feel with what they're going through. Everybody's experience is different, and we can't take away the fact that it doesn't feel hard for someone just because it's not as worse, as someone else. Everybody's, all the parents that I see in that support group, tried to manage it the best way they can, and a lot of them feel depleted. And definitely last year, well, I would say the year before last, I really felt depleted. And then my son had to be homeschooled this year, so that was another depletion on me. And as I dive into this video, I'm not going to make it a long one. That's kind of like a focus of it because of with everything that was going on with my son, and me prioritizing him and helping him to get through this. I put myself and my health on the back burner. So even though this channel is about nutrition, it's still holistic. And when we talk about holistic nutrition as a whole, we talk about the mind, body, and spirit, even though that is no longer my motto for NutriFoodie now. It's everything starts in seed form. That is the rebrand because I'm taking it back to the Bible and to God and how God wanted us to truly eat, and how we are just not eating those ways. But it's hard because there's so much that doesn't allow us to eat that way too, and we can get deeper into that in another video, and my phone might cut off. shortly. But basically, you know, I've put a back burner on my health and I've just been stressed out a lot. And a lot of things have happened as a result of that stress that I've been experiencing, which I'm trying not to experience now. I'm really leaning in on God, and He's giving me a lot of peace and comfort and helping me to get through this, which is just so amazing, what God can do for you. And but I still struggled, you know, to fully surrender, and I was just kind of dealing with things on my own. And yeah, about 2 years ago, I developed tinnitus, ringing in my ears, just due to stress. It kind of started like out of nowhere. As you guys know, so guys, I am back. My phone did indeed cut off, but I'm gonna record this. So where I left off is I was saying that 10 years ago, between the ages of like 25 and 26, I was dealing with a lot of chronic pain that started pretty much with like a neck injury and just kind of developed into chronic pain. I couldn't get over the neck injury, and then after that my whole body just started to hurt, and that was like for almost a year and a half. I was dealing with that until we came to the conclusion, because none of the doctors could figure out, neurologists, some of them were saying like, oh, you have anxiety, you're dealing with anxiety and stuff like that. And yeah, you know, that's pretty much what they were trying to put on me, that it was like anxiety related and stuff like that. But you know, eventually I looked into things more, thankfully, with my healthcare background. You know, I think that's the plus of having like a nursing background and knowing a lot about the body and healthcare. I mean, and health and body systems, and learning that from nursing. You know, I just kind of had to do my own research, and that's when I kind of stumbled upon fibromyalgia. And I'm like, this has to be it, because the chronic pain has lasted more than the number of months they say is the criteria to meet that would be considered for fibromyalgia, even though there is not any particular full like guideline to getting diagnosed for it, I believe. I don't know if things have changed now, but yeah, I developed that. And then also, if you are very, very familiar with me, and I know probably most of you are not, because I'm still not consistent with YouTube and coming on here and posting. But if you do know a little bit about my story, I have um, acid reflux disease, and the LPR type. And I was diagnosed with that like at the age of 21, and started to exhibit some of those symptoms when I was like 18, 19 years old. Like after I graduated high school, I couldn't figure out what was going on with me, like what's going on with my throat. And I'll make a full video on that too, and get more in depth just about acid reflux disease. But basically, because of the stress that I've been dealing with over the past couple of years, just with motherhood and things with my son, a lot of those things that I've had started to flare. Also, I was in a state, so some of those symptoms started to exhibit last year. Also, I was in a state of being very, very unhealthy. I gained tons of weight, both my husband and I, and believe it or not, he gained even more weight again, and I was able to stay stable where I was at. But pretty much last year, I was around April, the end of April, I was, no, the end of March, I was 191 pounds, and I was like, what? Like, I've never reached that much. I'm like, I'm pretty much 10 pounds away from being 200 pounds. And I was like, this is not me. What's going on with you? You know, and my typical weight usually before pregnancy was like 130, 135 pounds to 138 pounds. And then post pregnancy, I was like 145 pounds. But after the pandemic and beyond, I started gaining more and more and more weight as motherhood got harder, as life felt harder. I was eating whatever I wanted, and not really paying attention even to that whole to the acid reflux, and staying away from the foods. I was pretty much eating fried foods, fast foods, tons of sweets, and yeah, so my acid reflux pretty much came back. Where before I had my son, it wasn't too bad. I was doing a lot of cooking at home. I wasn't buying fast food, and we didn't have all this access to like Uber Eats and DoorDash during that time. I think at the time back in 2019, those apps were starting to roll out, and my husband had told me about Grubhub, and we started using that, I believe, first, and then Uber Eats a little bit, but prior to that, I wasn't really doing like those delivery service orders as much as I did over the past span of the pandemic. Like, it was just a lot, and that was a lot of my weight gain. I wasn't cooking. A lot of the foods are so spicy too, like chipotle sauce. I know a lot of you guys probably like all that stuff, but a lot of the foods I would order would be so spicy too. And I'm like, everything's so spicy these days, so those were like just huge triggers for my acid reflux, on top of stress too will make acid reflux worse. So pretty much with all of that combined, I was not in a good healthy state at all. And then these past 2 months, let's fast forward to now, the acid reflux got pretty much worse, and I went cold turkey, and I cut everything out, and I said, God, you know what, I am not going to be indulging or not eating these foods anymore, because these foods just literally always make me sick, and they're not good for the acid reflux disease. The acid reflux does not want to see any of these foods at all, because it will react to them. So pretty much for the past month and a half, I've gone cold turkey with a lot of foods, and as a result of the acid reflux symptoms, I also lost like about 15 pounds, which is crazy. And it was like rapid too that I was losing it, because I was having like struggles, with a lot of mucus in my throat, and it was just not fun at all. Then, lo and behold, a few weeks after, I was kind of getting a little bit better after I went cold turkey with a lot of the foods and started cooking my own stuff and really honing in on like acid reflux recipes. Then I find out like I have a bad tooth infection, and last last week I got two teeth pulled out. So it's been about a week now since that happened. But really, to fast forward through all of this, like as I'm like in my healing process of like the tooth being pulled out, and also just the thought of losing two teeth, which are my chewing teeth on the dominant side that I normally chew on, and then just the healing process of this, like I keep freaking out, because like my jaw right here still is like pretty much numb, or feels like it has the local anesthetic, but then it feels like my lip is just reacting and keeps getting like, has that fat feeling. But then when I look more into it, it says it's because all of my nerves right here where I had the infection is irritated, and it has to heal. And the purpose of this video, really what I wanted to talk about, is having patience in your healing, and not rushing your healing. Now, I don't know who this is meant for, but this might be meant for you, and this can apply to anything that you're going through in life. I think sometimes we try to rush through our healing, and we're like, God, heal me now. But healing take the healing can take time, and it might not happen instantly. And I found myself last week getting aggravated. Like, I thought once the two teeth came out, I was going to instantly feel better. And the dentist didn't really explain to me like much of the the dentist didn't really explain much of the after effects of the procedure, like what the after effects would feel like. I mean, I got the post op instructions and I read it and I was like, okay, but and I knew it would probably be painful because it was two teeth, but I didn't know like this whole thing was gonna happen, like with my lip, and and I'm like, then I called and they're like, well, this can be because your infection was so bad. This can be like for weeks or even months, from what the front desk receptionist told me, and I was like, months, and then I really had to lean into God, and he's like, listen, Vanessa, you have to allow your body to heal and you have to be patient. You cannot rush through this healing. You cannot instantly think that you're just going to be okay. You have to take your time getting through this. And as I'm taking my time getting through this, I'm calming down more, and I'm cooking my foods the way I can handle it, and eat it right now. And sometimes I get down about it, but I'm like, this is the only way, and I have to be patient through my healing. I cannot rush my healing, because when you try to rush your healing, it just gives you more anxiety, more stress, and you know, it's just a process to be patient with any healing that you're going through, and not thinking that you're just going to be okay like in 1 or 2 days. It takes time. So that was the purpose of me wanting to come and really talk about this, having patience in your healing and leaning on God to provide you that patience through your healing, and knowing that He will heal you as well. um yeah, and on this channel for sure, um, holistic nutrition, and it's also faith based. And yes, I will talk about God on this channel. And, I've heard other people talk about this in their videos about if they talk about God or anything like that. Some people are bothered by it, but, if it bothers you, this is not a space that you have to stay in. And if it doesn't, if you just want to hear and learn more about him, you can too, and I don't know if sometimes people feel like when you talk about God, you're pushing things on them, which, that's not what people mean to do, but it's what we're going to do, That's our faith. That's what's our faith. That's what we believe. And we shouldn't feel bad for that, No one should feel bad for that. So, yeah, that's what I just wanted to come and say quickly in this video. So just remembering to have patience in your healing, whatever you go through. Just take a deep breath and just know that you're going to get through it, and take it day by day. So until next time, bye bye, foodies. Be safe and be well.